Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Interviews, back to talk more Witcher Season 1. Yeah, we're already doing an episode again today. Kinda can't help it. I know I should be doing The Expanse. I also have to get to Doctor Who Season 9, Episode 4? Not 100% on that one. But I can't help it. I actually really couldn't help it. I don't usually do multiples in a day. I used to. But I couldn't help it. I've got to do another Witcher episode today. And so we're talking about episode 2. Full spoilers, we haven't seen it. It's called Four Marks. More world building. This is pretty much a big Yennefer-ish episode. This is our introduction for anybody who doesn't know the character of Yennefer, because I really don't. I never even played enough of the games to run into her in one of the games, I don't think. I think I ran into Triss. Is that her name? Or Priss? If that's even one of the characters, I have no idea. The redhead. Well, this is the show's introduction of Yennefer. We get more of Ciri's journey to trying to reach Geralt. She doesn't even know who he is. And we get a little side adventure with Geralt. That's fine. This isn't as good as episode 1, but there's more world building, and if you really like Yennefer, well then this is it. And I really was curious about her backstory, and we get full on. So yeah, lots of notes here, guys. Lots of notes just to talk about all this. So like I said, full spoilers if you haven't seen it, and like I said, you know, we are airing it right behind us here. So yeah, initial thoughts is that this is, I like all the Yennefer stuff. I really do. And by the end of Ciri's little story, you know, it gets pretty crazy. And Geralt's is more like just kind of like a side quest in the game. And I don't like to put it like that, but I think that this should have just been a Yennefer story, but they needed to put they wanted to show more of what was going on with everybody, and so we have what we have. Some of the makeup effects in this episode weren't. The Sylvan, sometimes it looked alright, sometimes it looked really bad to me. But hey, look, who am I to judge? I can't do makeup. You know, the people that put the work in here are doing a way better job than I ever would, right? So, you know, it's not like it took me out of it. I accept it. You know, it's no cornier looking than sometimes like what they can do on Doctor Who or anything, really. I don't want to point out, why did I point out Doctor Who? It was the first thing that popped into my head. Otherwise, I really dig it. I especially dig what's going on with like Yennefer's, like the whole sorcerers and magic world, and where we get a return of the same character from last episode, played by Lars Mikkelsen, who, thank you to Desi, one of my subscribers, who pointed out that he is Mads Mikkelsen's brother. And apparently, I also had a commenter say that they've tried watching other videos and they're all hate bait. So I haven't watched anybody else's stuff on this, but apparently, like, I'm not surprised that some people aren't liking this, because it comes with the territory of adapting something that people love. Same as, maybe not on the same, it's not on the same level as like people hating the new, but whatever, you know. I'm not talking about Star Wars today. So I've got everybody broken up. And so first we're going to talk about Ciri, and then we're going to talk about Geralt, and then we're going to talk about Yennefer. So Ciri, she's out in the woods by herself, you know, caught. She's being sought after, I'm assuming by Nilfgaard, but I mean, they're calling out her name. I guess they think she's really dumb, but she is naive. She's not dumb, but she is naive. But she's smart enough not to stand up being like, hello. So she's hiding out. And she almost eats some poison berries, and this boy who doesn't talk, you know, saves her from that. Doesn't talk at all. I thought maybe he was deaf. He feeds her a rat, you know. She's very much, you know, in royalty mode still. You know, I don't do this, and, you know, all that crap. And she kind of goes through that up until the end. Like, she starts to change once she reaches, this boy takes her to a place where she sees her, you know, the flag for, man, these names that I gotta remember. Cintra, the Cintra flag. So she's like, yay, run! Well, the elf, I spoiled that. The boy, The boy runs off. And I thought myself, I was like, man, just because you see a flag doesn't mean anything good could come from this. And, well, on the surface, things seem to work out okay for her initially. She doesn't blow her cover, even though she's like, she tries to cut in line for food because she's royalty. She's like, I don't, like, hey, who does this food? But she finds out pretty quickly people aren't happy with the just ended rule of her grandmother. That there are a lot of pissed off people that all die because this land was taken by the elves. Are the Nilfgaard's elves? I'm not 100% sure on that. I haven't seen any of them without a helmet. And Birdman, she even says he has a bird on his head. He's got a giant bird on his head. So I wasn't off on that. But I'm trying to keep straight. Yeah, the hate. So she meets this family. They take her in. Like, this boy brings her to his mother, and she's like, oh yeah, she's just pouring on the hate about the queen, and they lost their dad, and it's awkward. It's really awkward for her. And they even give her shoes. They're like, give her new shoes, and they're helper. See, like, he's like Tyrion, okay? He's a little person. I don't know what to say anymore. Like, damn it, I almost fell out of my chair. He's a little guy. What's the correct nomenclature? Is it little person? Because I just don't want to offend anybody. But, they make this guy take off his own shoes and give it to her. And that look he gives her, she's feeling guilty because it's like, these are great boots. And he's just like, fuck you, bitch. I wouldn't want to give up my shoes, but apparently even in this terrible circumstance that they're in, they have help. They have a great big tent, so they're, for refugees, they're making out okay. And they also have, their own, just because they survived and just because they blame the queen, doesn't mean that they are great people. The kids probably, they seem fine, but the mom's kind of got that chip on her shoulder about everything that went down. But I guess, when you lose your husband and you lose your house and everything, you're not going to be too, worried about what you say about the queen and your help. But by the end of this, right, by the end of this, the lady starts to really, hey, I can't sleep. I like, we're going to protect you, all this other stuff. But the Nilfgaard people attack. And there she's like, go get the kids, find them. But before she can even turn, like, literally when she turns her back, her servant, the little person, he just fucking stabs her to goddamn death. I mean, it's brutal. She's just screaming bloody murder as it's happening. They are not flinching away. And he is just non-stop stabby stab. I actually was like, okay, we can cut away from this, man, because that made me feel like the stabbings from the Red Wedding. It was just non-stop merciless. Like, this guy wasn't taken anymore. It's like, if we're all going to die, I'm killing this girl. And poor Ciri, all she can do is watch. But she's pulled from the tent by the same boy that brought her there. And you find out that he's an elf, like I just spoiled a couple of minutes ago. And, so they're on their way to get to find Geralt. And, she finds out that he can talk. Now, Geralt's story, he goes to this place called Posada, which is really gorgeous looking. Even if it's not, even if it's like CG or whatever, it's a really convincing CG. It's really like, looks like it would belong in the game. And I hate to keep bringing up the game because I know it's based on the books, but that's what I have as a reference. It's very colorful. It's very beautiful compared to where he was before, which was gray, muddy, dirty, medieval shithole town. This is different. This is a bright, plenty of, like, grass is growing, sun is out, and there's like a minstrel there. And this is funny because this reminds me of like Skyrim and things like that, of traveling singers that you'd always hear in these games. Even in like games like Assassin's Creed, there's always guys walking around singing, and this guy's singing, and it's pretty funny because he gets to, what does he sing about? They talk about it. He says something about an abortion, and I was like, did they even have the word abortion way back in these times? I mean, it's a fantasy show, but I mean, they talk about humans, so it's literally, in like a different version of our reality, right? Or, a fantasy version of our world. maybe. But whatever, I guess if it doesn't, if it, I don't know why I'm bothering with that part of it. Like why the fact that he says abortion, it doesn't bother me. It's a very modern word to me. I mean, but maybe I'm wrong about that. I just don't know when the word abortion came out. And God, I gotta stop talking about this. Sorry. Well, they call him, abort yourself, and they put him down, and Geralt's there. The minstrel, kind of outs him to the crowd here in the bar, and a man hires him. He got the cash up front, so that was great. He bartered up, like he negotiated a better deal. So he got the money up front. He got more money than he wanted, but they wanted to hunt down a demon that's been stealing their grain. They go out there. The minstrel's following him around, which I guess, some people will probably find him annoying. I find it kind of funny that this guy's just kind of tagging along. And I mean, if Geralt really didn't want him there, I mean, he tries to not have him come. He punches him really hard. So, I mean, it's what everybody does to these minstrels, right? And these things, like, even in games, I'm pretty sure I've punched a minstrel or two in Assassin's Creed. So, he punches him, but he just keeps coming. And he's attacked by a goat man. It's the best way I can put it. We find out he's a creature called a Sylvan, which is a rare and intelligent creature. And while Geralt says, I'm not going to kill you, but you can't stick around here. You got to go. But before he can do anything about that, he's knocked out. I did like that he just kind of picks up the goat man and just throws him. It's pretty great. But they wake up in a cave, tied up, and they find out that the Sylvan's been stealing the grain to help out a bunch of elves who've been displaced from their home, as a lot of elves in this world seem to have been, mostly have been, and if they weren't already slaughtered. And they're starving and they're sick. And so the only thing about this is that Geralt's go-to answer in the first episode and the second episode is telling somebody, well, why don't you just go, if people don't like you here, go somewhere else and rebuild. Find a new life. That's been the answer in the last 2 episodes. But the thing is like they're talking about humans come and take things, and then, where are you supposed to go? Eventually humans would find them, right? It's the manifest destiny kind of thing. Like no matter where you go, humans just like a virus. Kind of like how Agent Smith described humanity as a virus that just spreads everywhere and takes over everything. So even when they leave, right? Even if they go somewhere and build something for themselves, the humans are going to come and knock it all down. It also makes me think of The Expanse with the Belters and how, like in the newest season, they talk about, we want to go somewhere and build our own thing, but here come the Inners right away. As soon as we start to get something going, they come and they just take it over. It's a theme in a lot of things lately. And it's a big theme on this show so far, is that the real monsters are us. And I can't disagree, but they're hammering that home pretty hard. And so he, though, convinces them that he's not the enemy, and they let him go. And the minstrel comes up with a song for Geralt that, isn't quite true. He's like, that's not how it happened. And he's like, yeah, well, respect, what did he say? Respect doesn't make history. So that makes him pause. But the big part of this story, the most important part of the story is Yennefer's. And yeah, I made you guys wait till the most important part because I just wanted to get it all in one shot. So I didn't know who Yennefer was except for the game and what the pictures I've seen of her, the raven-haired beauty that's got a lot of power. And she's pretty hot. But, when we first are introduced to her, it's like such a lovely day, 2 lovers going out there to, like, make out. She gets pissed when he doesn't have roses because he says roses are cliche. It's true, but back then, would they have been cliche? Have people been giving each other roses for millennia already? I don't know. It seemed like a very modern thing to say about something from way back in a fantasy-filled past. But whatever. I digress. Those are the dumb things that always gnaw at me. I don't know why. But she throws the daisy away. They start to make out. And she seems kind of, it still seems kind of nice, whatever. But then they see Yennefer. I didn't know at the time this was Yennefer. I kind of thought maybe it was. She just doesn't look like the Yennefer I know. But I thought, okay, well, this is past. This is her in the beginning. This is her origin story. And so she's got a crooked spine, a crooked face, and like mauve-ish purple eyes. I wrote mauve. Other people will say purple. Potato, perpato. I don't know. Perplato. So they just harassing her. Like this nice little love, not love scene, but these scenes of two lovers suddenly turns just awful, and they're grabbing her and picking on her, and oh, we heard you sleep with the pigs and all this shit. I'm like, fuck these bastards. So she suddenly wakes up. I thought it was going to get violent. I thought they were going to hurt her, but suddenly, whoop, she wakes up. She comes to. All of a sudden, she's in this cave with this guy who we find out his name is Istrid, and she teleported herself there. And what what I know now is very interesting, but it seems innocent enough. He seems startled to see her. He does seem pretty nonplussed, I guess. Not startled, just like almost like he was expecting her, but not expecting her. Like his back is to her. He's like, hey, where'd you come from? How'd you get here? Oh, you made a portal, and this woman's going to be looking for you now. And so here's a portal. He takes a bite of a flower, makes a new portal, says, you'll be fine. Go out there. But he seemed like nice enough. Nothing is as it seems in this world. I can already tell. Like you can't just trust anything at all. So he pushes her through, and immediately this lady named Tisaya de Vries, Tisaya de Vries. She comes for her, and her father, or as we find out later, her stepfather. She gets sold to this lady. First she buys a pig for 10 marks. And I think that she only bought the pig just so that we'd have the context of that she's bought for only 4 marks, down from 6. So she's to them, worth less than a pig. And her mother tries to say something, but she does little to less than nothing practically to say anything to her husband to like, don't sell her, but doesn't nothing to stop it. So she goes to this place now where she's being kept. And we get what we assume is a suicide attempt. She punches a mirror. Before she can cut herself, we cut away to the main titles. So we find out though that there's several girls at this place, and it's basically like witch training, magic training. They're learning things about conduits of chaos, which comes up very important at the end. And they learn this thing where if you lift the rock with this enchantment, but that magic, we find out this is pretty harsh shit. Like this girl does it, right? She's doing it right here. And she lifts it, but then her hand basically shrivels up and dies. And you find out that it's a give and take, just like other things, like Full Metal Alchemist, right? Where it's, one thing you have to, oh God, what was the term that they used? Equivalent exchange, right? You have to, so if you hold the flowers and you do the incantation, the flowers will die to lift the rock. So you have to give and take with the magic here. Nice to know. It would have been nice for her to tell the poor girl before her hand, shriveled up. Maybe they have a way to fix it. They don't tell us. So I can only assume that this poor girl's walking around with only one hand now. But Yennefer can't do it. Everybody else can. She can. And as we know that she is a very powerful person later on, you start to go, okay, well, when is this going to break? What's going to be her big breakthrough? So she goes to this I have his name down. There's so many notes here. Come on, man. Whatever. The guy that she knows. Istrid. And she goes to him, but she goes to him several times. But next lesson, sorry guys, my notes are all over the place here, even though I think that they're all right. They have mind reading next, and she sits there a long time, and then she just busts out, hey, yeah, that girl's afraid of snakes. But I don't think that she actually, I think she just guessed. Probably because a lot of people are afraid of snakes. And she goes to Istrid because basically she's not good at anything. She's been there for a while and she's not good at any of it. But whenever she's around him, he seems to be able to bring it out of her. He has emotions for her, or at least he seems to have emotions for her, and she has emotions for him. And whenever she's around him, things start to work out. Like he cares and loves her. But she gets, found out about that, and she's kind of told by this lady, you need to control your emotions. Next lesson is catching lightning in a bottle. Right? Now this was pretty dope. I like this scene, even though it's still predictable. So they're supposed to go to this place that only really powerful sorcerers can go. The Brotherhood of Sorcerers. Great name, right? Really original. So they go into this thing where lightning shoots down onto this rock. And they're supposed to have a little glass vase. And the one girl who looks like she's carrying around like a little blankie, like a little security blanket, she gets that thrown out of her hands and told to go up there. So she's looking like, I don't know what to do. So of course she gets blasted and cooked. And then the next girl, she gets up there. For a second it works. And then the glass explodes in her face. I mean, and this teacher, she's so nonplussed about it. And it makes sense now at the end of this. I was like, man, she just, she's teaching these girls all this dangerous shit and she don't fucking care at all. She even says, push the girl that got cooked out of the way. And then it's Yennefer's turn, and she just straight up takes a bolt to the fucking chest. And she's laying there, but nobody says anything. Why is she fine? She's not cooked, she's not steaming, nobody says anything. There's a point to that, because the teacher should have been like, even, not even mildly concerned, even if she was just going to be like, look at you took a bolt to the chest, idiot. She doesn't do even that. So the fourth girl, Sabrina, the one that's, Sabrina the teenage witch. Oh, I just got that right now, right? So Sabrina goes up there with her bottle and catches the lightning in the bottle, and it's perfect, and it's great. And this pisses Yennefer off, and she takes the lightning that you can see inside her and tries to fry the other girl while the teacher blasts it away. So every time she gets emotional, that's when her powers seem to work. So, while everybody else is very calm and subdued about things, they can get their stuff done. She's all emotion. And her teacher, because I'm not going to say her name, man. There's too many. Thaisa de Vries. I'm not going to say that every time. She's like, you're consumed by emotions. If I take you to have you sent to some king, you fry him, and then they come after us. So they've got like the peace with people where they're feared, but people take their advice, but it's only as good as as long as it works, then they'll come for you. And that's, they learned, we find out they learned and stole all this stuff from the elves anyway. So Istrid tells her about, like what I was just saying, that the humans learned magic from the elves, and then right away the humans turn on the elves, slaughter them, and then so that they can pretend that they've had the power all along, keep the power all along, and just abuse it. And it's just, again, humans bad, and I can't disagree. Every time something happens in this world, it's always because of we mess things up. But we also find out that Yennefer is half elf, and but then, we think that they're in love. We think that their love is or their feelings for each other are reciprocal. But she steals Istrid's flower from him for her teacher, and so they've got that scheme going on. She's like, oh, so can I ascend now? And she's like, yeah, wait for the knock. And I'm like, there's not going to be a knock. She just did this for nothing, right? Or pretty much for nothing, or she's led to believe it's for nothing. Because she does not get a knock on the door at all. And so we also then find out, immediately, that Istrid is working for Stregobor, right? The same guy, Lars Mikkelsen, from last episode. he's got her. He's like, yeah, you working the girl. So both of them are playing against each other. So the Stregobar has got this guy trying to work Yennefer and her teacher, and Yennefer and the teacher are working against Istrid. But I don't think they know about Stregobar, or at least Yennefer doesn't. There's a lot of ins and outs to this kind of thing. And again, since I don't have all the information, since they haven't told me, that the only way I'd know is if I had read the books, then I'd have more context. So I'm sure some of you out there are like, you know already what this is all about and who's working for who, and maybe I've got things wrong because they haven't presented me with the information yet to how far and deep this whole thing goes. But when she sneaks into the Ascension that she wasn't called for, and she sees her teacher turn each girl one at a time into an eel. They don't even blink. They think they're ascending, probably. Even the third girl. But the third girl, you should have been like, what happened to the other two? What happened to the other two? Don't cast anything on me. Wait. Wait. But she turns them all into eels and tells Yennefer to push them into the water. Or the pond, the little, whatever it is, the little pond. And it's some water next to some rocks. And as you find out that she says that they're conduits of chaos. They've been turned into eels, but they still have power. And so essentially, it feels like these girls were brought there just to be turned into this. And she's not doing it to Yennefer because I guess they're similar, like she said, about being all emotions and stuff. So she pushes them into she doesn't want to, but she does in the end, push them into this pool. And the magic starts to like electrify the water or whatever, and she turns around and she's like kind of smiling. And so, I mean, Yennefer's story is pretty freaking dark. I mean, I heard she's kind of a dark character anyway, but I don't know if she's supposed to be thought of as a villain or if she's one of those characters who ends up rebelling against the system that has taught her things. But I'm really curious. I'm actually really more curious about her story right now. Going forward, Geralt, he's the guy going along waiting to meet Ciri. He's until we can get more in. So I might even have to keep going on this today. I might do another episode, but it's still pretty good. Like I said, it's a great origin story. Geralt's story doesn't really move anything forward, and Ciri's doesn't really move anything forward because we're just waiting for them to get together. Ciri, though, is learning more about the world and how people think of her family and the situation that created it, that they took this place from the elves and now it's coming back to bite them in the ass. So solid episode, not as good as episode 1, but pretty good as far as origin stories go. So anyway, if you liked this review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Share this video with other people. Let them know that there's a positive Witcher series of reviews on YouTube. If people are having a hard time finding them, well, this is one of them. So anyway, this is Rob at Smirking at Reviews saying you can find me on Twitter at reviews_gun. If you're so inclined to help the channel out to get better equipment, things like that, you can go to my PayPal, or it's paypal.me/smirkingatreviews. So have a great day. We will be back with episode 3, probably sooner than rather than later. So have a great day, and we'll see you on the next Witcher.